Alrighty. Hello and welcome in everybody to another episode of the Full Send Half Mast Podcast, episode number 89 here tonight. Running a little solo yo brolo here this evening. Maybe Tom will show up, I'm not sure or not, but nonetheless the show must go on. I'm here tonight to talk about this weekend's races at Bristol for the ARCA Trucks Xfinity Cup Series, as well as the F1 Singapore Grand Prix and the IMSA Series, the Pilot Challenge, and the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship at Indianapolis for the Battle of the Bricks, the 6-hour race. Can't wait to talk about those with you guys here tonight, give you guys some race recaps and some thoughts and opinions that I have on those races as well. Also, our driver and bonehead of the week segments, as well as always here tonight. Got some pretty good nominees there. And then we'll talk about the Cup Series point standings going into the round of 12, the cut line, and where drivers are from 7 through 10, as well as the Formula One driver and constructor standings, as well as the IMSA Series points leading into the final race of the season at Petit Le Mans later in October. And then as well as preview this weekend's races, the ARCA Trucks Xfinity Cup, run it back again this weekend at Kansas. I'll give you some notable entries for this weekend's races, as well as my picks for this weekend's races at Kansas going into the first round of the playoffs for the Xfinity Series, the Cup race for the Truck Series, as well as the opening race of the round of 12 for the Cup Series. And then I'll give you my NASCAR fantasy lineup for this weekend as well. But first off, like always, we're going to start with some news. My favorite talking points of the week. First off, Nick Sanchez is confirmed to be replacing Parker Kligerman in number 48 Big Machine Vodka team in the Xfinity Series in 2025. I'm super excited for this news. I think Nick Sanchez is an exceptional talent. I think he's going to bring a lot to this team that's already been grown through Parker Kligerman, I believe, over the last 2 years, has turned this team into a legitimate contender. Top 5, top 10, even a fringe winning contender at certain races. Nick Sanchez, I think what he's done this year in the trucks has just been exceptional. He's got wins. He's through the playoffs. It looks like he's going to advance solidly into the next round in the Truck Series playoffs. So we'll see what he can do next year in Xfinity car with the Big Machine Vodka number 48. I believe that this team could still win a race before the end of the year with Parker Clearman. Let's see if Nick Sanchez can maybe elevate them maybe one step further, and maybe make this team a winning team on a regular basis in 2025. I'm not sure if we talked about this or not last week, but I want to talk about it again. Corey LaJoie, Justin Haley's driver swap, ride swap, whatever you want to say, for the remainder of the season. Corey LaJoie will be moving over to the number 51 Rick Ware Racing Machine, while Justin Haley moves over to the number 7 Spire Machine. All I'm going to say about this is big dub for Spire, getting a legit driver in that number 7 machine. I believe that those cars are a little better than what LaJoie makes them look like. We've seen what Hocevar's been able to do with his rookie campaign. I mean, even Zane Smith's had flashes of excellence this year. I think Justin Haley's going to take this team a step further. I mean, what he was doing in Rick Ware equipment, I think this is a complete step up, and I like getting some experience for the end of the season. I think this is a big dub for Spire. Maybe they'll be able to finish some races. Justin Haley is say what you will, this guy doesn't DNF out of races. He finishes races. I think he's completed the most laps in the next gen era of any driver, which is an impressive feat in itself, especially considering that he's in a team that's usually laps down by the end of the race, or in a car that just drives like a dump truck. So he does a great job there. But L for Spire, or for Rick Ware Racing, bringing in LaJoie. Out of all the drivers he could have brought in, I don't understand why it was LaJoie, or like, doesn't make any sense. I mean, there's so many other quality drivers he could have brought into this machine that could have been almost to the level of Justin Haley, or maybe even been better than Justin Haley. But you decide to go with the LaJoie Dozer model number 7. I don't know how I feel about that. There is one driver that's probably sitting in their backyard on a go-kart track right now that would love that opportunity. I kid. Oh man. Yeah, we don't want Haley Deacon in that number 51 machine, but the next best thing, I guess, is Corey LaJoie. It's gonna be miserable. Miserable. I'll talk about that when we get to the cup race with LaJoie in his final race with Spire. How he ruined that for himself. So maybe a hint towards one of our segments later in this podcast as well. But yeah, we'll see how this goes for the rest of the year. I'm positive that Justin Haley is going to perform better than Corey LaJoie for the rest of the season. I'd be shocked if the performance of that 7 card dropped. I would be absolutely shocked. So we'll see how that progresses throughout the rest of this season. Next, kind of a 2-part thing with IndyCar stuff. The first thing I want to talk about though is the IndyCar charter system. 25 charters got awarded to certain teams like Ganassi, Penske, Andretti, Hoyt, MSR. There's different teams, right? Delcoin. that have competed over the last few years. Kind of like when NASCAR introduced their charter system, giving 2 to 3 charters to all these teams. All I'm gonna say is we see what's happened to NASCAR with the charter system. We've seen what's happened to F1 with their kinda quote unquote charter system, 20 car grid, 10 team grid, whatever you want to call it there in Formula One. It just completely destroys the sport, completely destroys innovation, cuts out new teams, cuts out new sponsors, cuts out new drivers, turns it into a good boys club. Prices on charters go up over time. We've seen that. You got to buy your way into the sport to compete. And then I think this is terrible for IndyCar. I mean, I just don't understand. I guess I understand it from the team's point of view, and because it's a winning or winning adventure for them. Like they're gonna make more money. They're gonna get more split of that driver pool of money at the end of the year. But as a sanctioning body, it seems like an L. I mean, I just don't like it. I don't like the charters in NASCAR. I've never liked the charters from the day one, and we've seen how it's progressively gotten worse. We have the deal with like 2311 not signing the charter, and then we had um that front row doesn't want to sign the new charter agreement. The charter agreement took over a year to pretty much figure out and solve with all the back and forth of where the monies should go here and there with the tracks, this NASCAR, the teams. I just don't want to see IndyCar fall into the same trap, and I'm worried that that's what we're leading into. I mean, the way that they're trying to prop it up and sell it to fans and teams and owners and drivers and tracks, it seems like it's going to be a win 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 all the way across the board. But I mean, if you remember, that's how they sold the charter system in the Cup Series, and I just don't want to see IndyCar fall down that same path because it is the last, in my opinion, last true great motorsport besides maybe sports car racing, but I don't think you could really ruin sports car racing. It's just naturally good, and we'll talk about that later too, because I thought that Battle of the Bricks race was amazing, and I can't wait to talk about that with you guys as well. But the IndyCar series is a great series. We have all this new interest in teams. Ganassi runs 5 cars. We got Prema coming in this next year. I mean, there's other teams that have been hinted at coming in that maybe this hurts their chances of getting into IndyCar because now what's going to say that these teams like Andretti, the Foyts, the Ganassis, the Rahals, the Penske's that are already pretty much grandfathered into this sport now with this charter agreement. They're not going to want to sell charters. They're not going to shuffle charters around. So now it's going to turn all these teams that like Dreyer Reinbold is a great example, a team that would love to go full time racing. They've made for the last 2 3 years we've talked about this on the channel, but the last few years they've wanted to go full time racing, or they keep talking about going full time racing. Well, now this just completely shuts the door on those type of teams. The Indy 500 teams that just show up for run the Indy 500. Now they're not going to be able to even remotely want to attempt a full season in IndyCar because there's just no profit in it now. I mean, all you had to do in the past was if you ran, you get to the top 22 in points, you could get the owners circle money. But now with the charter system, now guaranteeing eligible spots into the races. Now there's only 2 open spots a race now. Prema is going to be the other team that's going to take up 2 of those spots. And now let's say Dreyer Reinbold wants to show up to like Toronto. They're going to have to race against Prema to get in. Let's say Del Coin wants to start or bring another car. Let's say Ganassi wants to bring another car, or Penske even. Now they're going to have to race into the race because they got 25 locked in spot. I mean, it's just an absolute clown show. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. And eventually it's going to get down to the point where there's only 25 cars showing up to every IndyCar race. And some people might say that's good because we got 25 competitive cars. But I mean, what? We had 27. We have 27 cars. And now Ganassi, there's no incentive for him to enter 5 cars into a season. There's no incentive for Ray Hall to bring a 4th car out for another driver. No incentive for these teams to do that because they're not going to make it. They're going to be losing money by doing it. It's just, I don't like this look. I hate the charter system. And now the IndyCar's brought it in. I'm just scared for what the future of IndyCar is going to look like. And if if it's anything we've seen with NASCAR, we went from 43 car fields down to 40 car fields, guaranteed spots, and then now the only race we get 40 cars is like maybe 4 races a year. The big races and maybe a couple road courses we get it more than we get 40 cars show up, but never more than 40 besides the Daytona 500. And I don't want to see that happen in IndyCar. I don't want to see. I would love to see the drama in the championship with where an Alex Palou fails messes up a qualifying, doesn't make the race, like stuff like that. That's what makes the racing intriguing, and it just takes it away. I hate the guaranteed spots. I hate the charter agreement. I hate limiting new teams. It's just the whole thing that comes with it. And yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this. We'll have to see how it plays out. I just by past experience and anything that we've learned with the charter systems in NASCAR, I'm afraid that's what we're gonna see in IndyCar. If you guys have any opinions or thoughts on the charter system, just leave those in the comments below. I'll answer any questions that you have the best of my ability, or maybe you guys got opinions on it that I'm not seeing at the moment. I would like to see what your guys' opinions are on the IndyCar charter system. Uh, Next, Logan Sargent. We know that he's was canned by Williams. There's been rumors for months and months of him coming to IndyCar. There's the leaks to Prema early on. And now it looks like he's going to be doing a test at Thermal Club for Meyer Shank Racing, which I found that intriguing. We don't really know the lineup for Meyer Shank. It's obviously not going to be Rossi. That's kind of what me and Tom were thinking. It would be Rossi into the Meyer Shank camp. That's not happening. And now we got Logan Sargent doing a test at Thermal Club, which, if you know, Thermal Club is a points race next year in the IndyCar schedule. It's also a private club, so there's not going to be a lot of media availability there. There's nobody going to have eyes on it. It's kind of like a hush-hush little test here for Logan Sargent to see how he does. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's Logan Sargent at the end of the day. MSR, so many other options, money talks, BS walks, I guess. I don't know. But I'll keep you guys posted or we'll keep you posted if we hear anything about this test. It's supposed to come in sometime in November, I believe. So still a few months out, but if we hear anything about how good he did or anything like that, or any rumors that he's signing with MSR, we'll let you guys for surely know. But with that being said, I think that will cover the news here for tonight. A little bit of silly season stuff, a little bit of drama with the IndyCar charters. Hopefully, I gave you a pretty good opinion on that. But next, we're gonna move into the race recast for this weekend's races. We'll start off with the ARCA series on Thursday, the Busch Beans 200. Really, the only thing I want to talk about is Connor Zilich's race. Coming into this race, he's racing for the East Championship with Swalich. All he had to do was finish 12th or better, and he secured the championship. Him and Swalich were battling up front early in this race, and Logan Mizraka ends up making a mistake. Her and Amber Balkan, I believe, got into it. She went around, crashed, collects Connor Zilich, takes him out of the race, takes him away from the championship. Heartbreaking moment for Connor Zilich. I think he was gonna win this race. It looked like he had the best car. Him or Swalich definitely were the best two cars in this race. And when that happened, it eliminated him from the championship pretty much. I mean, unless something crazy also happened to William Swalich, which never did or never would happen, because by the time we got through the Crash Fest 200 at Bristol, that 15 cautions, I think they ran 3/4 of the race under yellow. I mean, there was just not really a chance for Zilich to have any issues. So that's so unfortunate. Zilich does not win the ARCA East Championship and this race with the ARCA National Series. Unfortunate. Lost talent, lack of talent. Logan Mizraka. Yeah. She just absolutely lost control of her car. It took out Zilich. It was a heartbreaking moment. And it really set up a race there between the 97 car. I'm trying to think. Who's the driver of the 97? Should have wrote this down. Oh, man. I am absolutely having a blank right now. Oh, Landon. Landon. Let me look it up. I'm sorry. I did not write this down. I'm had a brain over, I guess is what you could call it. Completely forgetting this guy's name. Landon Lewis. Landon Lewis. That's who it was. I got it. Landon Lewis. He ends up competing with William Swalich, multiple restarts, swap and lead back and forth on all these different restarts. Eventually, Swalich did prevail on one of the late race restarts and was able to hang on to the win and claim the ARCA East Championship as well as the win at Bristol. So congratulations to William Swalich. Big weekend for him there in the ARCA Series. ARCA Series, terrible, terrible race. I mean, it was just awful. Wreckfest. That's all the best way I could describe it. There was like 15, 16, 17 cautions. I lost track. It was hard to watch that race. It was really tough. And especially with the field that we had, like it felt like it was going to be a good field. I do want to shout out Corey Day. I did nominate him as the driver of the week. He finished P7 in this ARCA race. I believe it was the second ARCA start of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very, very little experience in stock cars. He did a fantastic job. Ran right there, fringe top 10 all day, inside the top 10, outside the top 10, get back into the top 10, battling towards the top 5 at some points of the race. Did everything he needed to do, kept his car clean, didn't make any mistakes, learned a lot, lots of restart opportunities to learn how to do restarts. I think he did a fantastic job, got home P7. And if you know anything, but pay attention channel, huge Corey Day fan. And with the low, I feel like he should have had low expectations. I had pretty low expectations with the lack of experience he has in stock cars, especially taking him somewhere to in an ARCA race. That's basically gonna be a wreck fest anyway. The survival rate there, and then on top of that, at Bristol, which is an extremely tough track, I think that P7 was a great finish by Corey Day, and that really proved a lot to me. So I was excited to see what he could do in the truck race, which was later that night on Thursday. The UNOH 200. Zilich was on pole for that race as well. Looks like he was gonna. We called it on the podcast last week, thinking he's gonna pull the triple off. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Um, uh, I let's talk about the first stage. Raja Karuth wins stage one. Did a fantastic job. That 71 Spire machine was extremely quick. This truck race was an absolute banger of a race. I mean, you had guys rotating to the bottom. The lane eventually rotated to the top. You saw lots of passing, lots of comers and goers through the runs, especially when they got into lap traffic. You could tell some trucks handled it a little better in lap traffic than others. And Rajat Karuth had a long run truck. The first 25-ish laps of a run, he didn't have the fire off speed. He would maybe lose a position, maybe two, maybe lose a little bit of time to the leaders. But by the end of the run, he was just moving through the field, making passes. Was really able to use that outside line to his advantage a lot and really be able to manipulate other cars and be able to get by them. And by the end of the stage one, he got to the lead, and I thought he was the favorite to win the race. And then we had an issue with Zilich. Nick Sanchez made a little bit of a mistake, got into the back of Nick Sanchez or Connor Zilich, turned him around. Zilich tried to get it back up on the apron of the track or up on the bank in the track, got it stuck, ended up going a lap down, never recovered from it. Super unfortunate for Zilich. I think he had a competitive truck, but being trapped a lap down pretty much the majority of the race, it just took him completely out of it. By the end of stage two, Corey Heim did end up winning stage two. Raja Cruz, I believe, was like P2, P3, wasn't able to get back up to the front by the end of that stage. Christian Eckes really showed his hand in stage two. He was really the guy that dominated the top lane. Did a great job up there controlling that controlling the top lane and being able to make his way through the field there. I want to talk about the caution with 45 to go. Really hampered. Daniel Dye was having a fantastic run inside the top 10 all day long, looking like he's going to put himself in a position that he'll be secure going into Kansas, where he can advance the next round of the playoffs. He made a mistake, got sideways, collected Caden Honeycutt, and he went a couple laps down, lots of damage, just trying to finish the race. Lost a lot of points to that cut line. I believe he's down in the playoff cut line by a few points at the moment. So we'll see what he can do in Kansas to try and recoup some of those points and try to advance to the next round of the playoffs. And then also, I want to talk about this with 18 to go. Ben Rhodes dumping Jack Wood. I swear, anybody that drives for Thorsport that's won multiple championships loses talent, loses their brains. Saw it with old Matt Crafton, and now Ben Rhodes is having the same issue. He's going to also be going into Kansas below the cut line in kind of a must-win situation, I believe. I mean, the way that team's been running, I just don't know how he's going to be able to advance without winning that race or at least getting a ton of stage points and running up front all day long. Well, I guess we'll find out this weekend if he can do that. But I do want to talk about in stage three, Lane Riggs. What an absolute drive. Ran top five basically all day, top six maybe at sometimes in stage one. Didn't really show his hand, was kind of just logging laps, wasn't really mixing it up too much with those leaders as they were dicing through lap traffic. Did a great job being able to get to the outside on one of those restarts, got to the lead, and once he got to the lead, he was the only guy at the end of that race to make that bottom line work. Everybody had rotated to the top, Lane Riggs stayed to the bottom, and was faster than everybody else. Did a great job in that race and ended up winning. Also, shout out to Nick Sanchez. He did an alternate strategy there, pitted at the end of stage two, lost all that track position, had to drive through the field. But those late race cautions, maybe not enough fire off speed. He wasn't able to get back through the field all the way. I think he did end up coming home like P4 or P5, I believe, at the end of the race, which was still a good drive. It would have been cool to see that run continue longer with the fall off pace of the tires that we saw in the Truck Series. I think that he might have been able to have something for Riggs at the end of that race if it would have stayed green to the end. Unfortunately, it didn't happen thanks to some issues by some of those trucks that I mentioned with Daniel Dye having his issues and then Ben Rhodes also having that contact with Jack Wood. So, uh, big win, back to back wins for Lane Riggs. Missed the playoffs, but he's still firing on all cylinders. I think he's figuring the trucks out. And to win it completely two different tracks. I mean, Milwaukee, flat mile track, completely different than a half mile high bank Bristol. Really showing what he could do. Maybe he can make it a three-peat and win this weekend at Kansas, and then that would be three different tracks and three different weekends. That'd be pretty impressive. All right, Friday, the Xfinity Series, the Mission 200. At Bristol, we had Chandler Smith qualifying pole. Let's talk about Dale Jr.'s radio issues. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. They brought him down multiple times, had his helmet off, replaced helmets, fixed radios, dropped his radio at one point. I mean, just an absolute what the heck happened? It's not like they had a year to prepare for this race and like all the issues that they had with that 88 machine really put him back. Strategy did get him back up to the front later in the race. We'll talk about that here towards the end. But we did have a caution on lap 52. Justin Allgaier, regular season championship leader coming into the race, looked like he was going to secure this thing. Had I believe was the fastest car in the race. Um, and he ended up having contact, or Austin Green ends up braking in front of him. His car just brakes on him. He ends up collecting Allgaier and then his teammate Retzloff as well. That was super unfortunate. That was the beginning of the downfall there for Allgaier. He had his rear bumper ripped off. It's still fast car, drove through the field there by the end of stage one, just not able to get towards the front enough. Chandler Smith did end up winning it. We had a caution late in stage two that ended stage two, and that caution was with Allgaier and Creed making contact. Uh, I believe it's racing deal. I mean, you could maybe put a little bit of blame on Allgaier, a little bit on Creed, but I just see it as a racing deal. They're both coming off of turn two, I believe it was. It doesn't look like Creed moves down. It really doesn't look like Allgaier comes up. This looks like they kind of merged off of turn two, where how the track kind of naturally arcs up towards the wall, and that sent Allgaier down into the inside wall, and that really ended his race. Multiple laps down, tons of significant damage, and really kind of threw away the regular season championship all in the final race. Unfortunate for him. Clements on strategy wins stage two, so that was a big stage win for that team. But then the end of the race, Creed and Custer were the two cars to beat. Chandler was right there in P3. Custer was able to get past Creed after making a mistake on a restart and was able to hang on for the win. Led probably the last 100 something laps there, pretty much the entire stage duration of stage three. Custer ends up winning the race and the regular season championship by 3 points. So with Allgaier having all those issues that thought he was a lock for the regular season title, Custer ends up clutching it with the win, and with the mistakes, Allgaier ends up able to prevail him by 3 points to win the regular season championship. Dell Jr., P7 finish in this race, did really good early on. Ended up battling with Ryan Truex there at the end, and was just unable to get by him, which was super unfortunate for him. Uh, it's just the way he just wasn't good enough on the bottom. And that's really what all it came down to. Truex didn't make any mistakes, and Junior just wasn't fast enough on the bottom to make the pass. And yeah, good solid run for Dale Jr., I guess, P7. Um, Great races. The trucks and Xfinity races this weekend at Bristol were absolutely amazing. I enjoyed them. Me and Tom jumped into Discord here and we watched them together on on Thursday night and Friday night. Those were just some great races. That was Bristol to me. We saw lots of tire wear. We saw speed fall off. More what we kind of want to see out of Bristol. And we'll talk about that with the Cup race because that was snooze fest. But yeah, this is great racing. Lots of lane moving. Riggs really figured out how to use the inside line in the truck race. That's how he found himself the victory. And then Custer just didn't make any mistakes at the end. Creed made that one too many mistakes, and that's what allowed Custer to get by. And once Custer got by, he just was able to navigate through lap traffic better, was able to run the top line, use the bottom line when he needed to get around lap traffic. And people are saying, oh, it's a one lane track. But I mean, you could make the bottom lane work. We saw Riggs did it in the truck race. You could do it in the Xfinity race too. You just had to have your car just had to be a little bit better than the guy above you. And we did see comers and goers. We saw different strategies. and we saw a thrilling battle to the end for the regular season championship that Custer ultimately prevailed in. I enjoyed both the truck and the Xfinity races. They were great races, and that's what I expect from Bristol. Um, and unfortunately, on Saturday we did not see that, but we'll talk about that. All right. Saturday afternoon, the Michelin Pilot Challenge Series, the Indianapolis 120. This race last year was a great race. It was a 4-hour race, ended in the dark. This year they shrunk it down to a 2-hour race. The number 28 Porsche was on GS pole, and the number 93 Honda was on TCR pole. We had a full course yellow early with the number 61 Audi into turn one, full send moment into with the Stone behind the wheel. Just absolutely TKOs the number 676 Hyundai with Brown behind the wheel, absolutely TKO'd him. I mean, he missed his breaking point by 4 or 5 car lengths, drove into turn one, absolute aggression, and just slammed right into the door of the 76. Ends up basically putting both cars out of the race with big time damage. That was super unfortunate there for Brown, just an absolute innocent victim with with Ernstone absolutely TKOing him. That will be a nominee for Bonehead of the Week. If you guys get a chance, or if you guys saw it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was an absolute crazy moment in that race. Also, we had another full course yellow later in the race as well when the TCR leader, the number 99 Hyundai with Burkhardt behind the wheel, he was wiped out by the Aston Martin number 71 with the Pew behind the wheel. Pew's trying to go through lap traffic, ends up making big time contact. I believe that was at turn 7. Ends up taking off the rear wing of the leader in TCR. Big time moment. Off strategy was the number 99 Hyundai, but it was just super unfortunate that getting raced through lap traffic. You're moving chicane and TCR, kind of like how the GT3s are against prototypes. And it's just, you can't make that kind of mistake with Depew, and wiped out Burkhardt, took him out of chance to win. But big race for BMW. The number 39 BMW with McAllister and Westfall. They end up winning Grand Sport this week and this weekend. Fantastic drive by them. And then also big shout out to the number 98 Hyundai who wins TCR. They started in the dead last position, drove all the way through the field. A little bit of strategy, a lot of great driving by Wilkins and Filippi. They end up getting the win, their first win of the year in TCR. Good job for them. Brian Hurd of Autosport. Um, Great race. Great race. Mission Pilot Challenge, always a great race. We had great battles throughout the race. At one point, we had like 8, 9 Grand Sport cars battling from like first to like ninth, battling really hard, door banging, wheel banging, throwing slider crossovers on each other. I mean, it was just awesome racing. Indianapolis sports car racing, just an absolute match made in heaven. And we'll talk about that more when we get into the mission or the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship race this weekend at 6 hours battle at the brakes here in a little bit. But again, yeah, great drive by BMW. 39 BMW wins Grand Sport, number 98 with Hyundai ends up winning in TCR. All right, and then Saturday night, the Snooze Fest 500 night race at Bristol. The one that we did the watch party for. If you guys tuned in, we appreciate you guys. We had a great time. I mean, I still had a great time with the watch party. It was fun hanging out. Dallas joined us for a little bit, just talking racing, just hanging out, watching the race play out. But there's really not much to talk about in this race. Alex Bowman qualified on pole. Him, Bell, and Cindric were kind of the three guys we're looking at going into the weekend. That if they got a good amount of stage points early on, they could probably lock themselves into the next round. And that's what we saw by Bowman qualifying a pole, got lots of stage points. Same with Bell, got lots of stage points. They both secured their spots into the next round by stage 2. Early caution lap 3 with Nemechek, basically running out of talent, wrecking. Larson sweeps the stages. There's really nothing to talk about there. He also wins the race, dominates. I think it left 463 out of 500 laps. What else? Logano had an incident, had a crash in stage 2. I think it was LaJoy that dumped him. And then LaJoy ends up doing LaJoy things, runs out of talent, lap 328, ends up crashing. Kind of a good send off. Hallelujah. See you later, boys. Aspire Motorsports with that crash there. Who would have saw that coming, right? Who predicted that? Corey LaJoy dumping his race car on the final time he's in a race for Spire. That's absolutely embarrassing. But that's really the entire recap there. There's just, this race had no substance. There's no passing, no tire fall off. I mean, I think by the end of a run, they were running like maybe a tenth of a second slower than they were at the beginning of a run. That they completely lied to us about the new tire. They put the PJ1 compound on the bottom of the track, wiped off all the rubber off the top. Right when they said that, me and Tom looked at each other and were like, yeah, this race is going to be a snooze fest. It's going to be garbage, even if we have the worn out, great God tier tire that they had in the spring. We just didn't see it. We didn't see it. And I don't really like Denny Hamlin, but what Denny Hamlin said is basically what Tom and I have been saying for the last year and a half, that it's the car. The car's the problem. The car is 100% the problem. These cars have too much downforce, too much side force. Uh, they create a weird wake in the air. The tires are too wide. They're not safe. There's just so many inherently wrong things about this car, and it just completely killed short track racing. It's completely killed road course racing. It's killed super speedway racing. We're saving fuel at Daytona. I mean, the car is just terrible. We see the flips that this car has because they got basically creating lift when the cars create a little bit of air onto that flat bottom. It just picks the cars up off the ground. It's terrible. This car is terrible. The car is garbage. The tire that we brought, that Goodyear brought, was garbage. Kyle Larson says, "Don't blame Goodyear." I'm gonna blame Goodyear anyway. I'm gonna blame NASCAR. I'm gonna blame Goodyear. I'm gonna blame everything about whoever designed this car. I'm gonna blame it all. It's just terrible. It's a terrible combination. Terrible everything. The race was garbage. People that say this is a good race are too far indoctrinated, too far gone to understand what real racing is. We didn't see comers and goers. Maybe like one guy would make one pass on a long run. They could have they went the entire race on two sets of tires. I think they pitted at the end of stage one and stage two, and that was it. I mean, we're running a race on two sets of tires, 500 laps around Bristol. Is this a freaking alternate reality? What's happening? Why are we doing this? What is that? It's ridiculous. So then that creates no strategy whatsoever because we got automatic built-in strategy with the stages, no tire wear, no tire fall off, same set of tires. They only pitted because they needed fuel. Like, just put a bigger fuel tank in these cars. We wouldn't have to make a pit stop at all. Then you wouldn't have to hire 5 guys to jump over a freaking wall. Maybe I'm thinking. I don't know. It's ridiculous, man. It just, the sad state that NASCAR is in, it's just absolutely garbage. And I think I said this during the watch party. Whenever NASCAR says something, I'm gonna think the opposite because they've lied and gaslit me so much over the last 2-3 years with this next gen car that I just don't believe them anymore. I'm not gonna believe them anymore. I can't believe them anymore for my sanity. I mean, they tell us it's the old tire, and I freaking fell for the trap, got all excited about it, and look what we got. We got that. We got that garbage product that we saw on Saturday night. There's nothing to this race. There's nothing to this race. I do want to talk about the guys that got eliminated. Gibbs couldn't make passes at the end of the race, fell off. Suarez somehow advanced with that complete garbage dumpster can of a race car that he had. Like 18 points by the end. He was like 30th. 4 laps down. I mean, it's insane. So yeah, Gibbs is eliminated. Truex, a speeding penalty cost him in this race. He ends up finishing well outside the top 20, I believe, laps down. Keselowski, they missed it. They get eliminated as well. And then obviously Burton, he was going to get eliminated regardless. I mean, the Atlanta race didn't go to plan. I mean, he had no chance besides a win. He got eliminated. He had some issues during the race, but it didn't matter. But yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, so those are your 4 eliminations. Hamlin did everything he needed to do, got great stage points, finished in the top 3. So, big race for him. He advances. That stinks. Dickie Hamlin's going to stay in the playoffs, but see how long that continues. But yeah, terrible race, terrible car, terrible tire, terrible NASCAR. I don't know. No, that was just heartbreaking. Just terrible race. I would say the worst race of the year, and I don't even think it's even debatable. I mean, Atlanta was better than that, and I freaking hate Atlanta. So, the only upside to Atlanta, and I'm starting to kind of come around to it, is the fact that you can tell that the field's getting spread out. It's not as much of a yo-yo anymore, and I think that the older the track surface gets, I think the less yo-yo and pack racing it's going to be, and I think it's going to be like old Atlanta again. So, I'm optimistic about Atlanta in the future, and that's just by visually seeing what that racetrack is turning into. But this is terrible, man. This is terrible. And the problem is we got Phoenix coming up for the championship race. What's going to happen there? It's going to be the same thing we see here. It's going to be a qualifying race, qualify front, try to maintain track position. Martinsville, the cut race, I'm scared for that one too. That might be absolutely garbage. And then Talladega, obviously you're going to be fuel saving, working with teammates. I mean, that's probably going to be a bad race. So I don't know. Where's our good races left this year? This weekend, maybe? Vegas, Homestead. That's about it. Roval, because it's always entertaining. Yeah, it's just upsetting. It's just upsetting. But there's nothing really else I want to talk about the Cup Series. Going into the next round, point standing is obviously Chase Elliott's seventh in points. He's sixth up on the cut line. Logano's eighth on the cut line at +4. Cedric is -4 in ninth, and then Suarez -6 and 10th. And then obviously, I believe it's what Bowman and Briscoe are the last two down at the bottom there as well. So we'll see. We'll see who can have a good run this weekend at Kansas and get some points and start moving themselves in the right direction towards the round of 8. All right, next the F1 Singapore Grand Prix. Saw Lando Norris qualify on pole. Dominant car, can't go. Lando gets off the line, does open up a big gap. Poor Alex Albon having some issues, had to retire from this race early. Big runs this weekend for Hulkenberg and Alonso. Ferrari missed it this weekend. That's unfortunate. But Lando almost threw this race away multiple times. Best car on the grid. Uh, Great strategy and very mid driver. Made multiple mistakes, almost threw the raceway multiple times with a massive, I'm saying massive, massive lead over Max Verstappen. I mean, it wasn't even close, and he almost threw it away. He does end up hanging on to win. We did have a retirement with Magnussen as well in lap 57. Oh, we didn't get a good K-Mag moment this race, but yeah, Lando wins. Verstappen P2, Piastri P3. Played out a lot different than last year because we had that safety car last year that kind of changed that race a little bit. We didn't really see that here. Verstappen and Red Bull, they brought a piece this weekend. They were a lot more competitive than they were last year. They do lose 7 more points to the championship lead of Lando Norris. But Piastri drove through the field at the P3. Great job by him. From starting kind of right around that fifth, sixth spot. So good job by him. I do want to shout out Fernando Alonso and Nico Hulkenberg, P8, P9 respectively, both getting in the points. I think that's the best run we've seen from Fernando in a long time, getting the points here at Singapore. So that was a big race for them in Aston. Um, there's not much to talk about really at this race. I mean, it was a pretty straightforward race, dominant Lando Norris race. The drivers' championship is down to 52 points now. Verstappen's up over Norris, and then Leclerc's 86 points back there in third. And then in the constructors, McLaren has opened up that gap to Red Bull by 41 points and 75 over Ferrari. So I think the constructors title is definitely going to go McLaren's way. It's just going to be a matter of can Lando close that 52-point gap down to Verstappen by the end of the season. It's gonna be tight down to the end. I think we're gonna be talking about a tight championship battle going into Abu Dhabi this year, and I'm excited for that for the sake of having the parity and the excitement. But I just hope that Max Verstappen can pull this off. I can't stand Lando, can't go Lando. So we'll see as the championship continues to progress. I believe next race maybe Coda or Brazil. I'll have to look at the schedule, but there's only like 6 races left, so championship battle is gonna get intense all the way down to the end. Alrighty. The final race of the weekend, the IMSA series, the TireRack.com Battle on the Bricks. Oh man, was I excited for this race. What a race we saw. I'll go over the pole sitters real quick. The 01 Cadillac caught the GTP pole. The number 52 Inter Europole team claims the LMP2 pole. The number 1 BMW claims the GTD Pro pole. And then the GTD pole went to the number 32 Mercedes. This race was absolutely thrilling. So they start in the rain. Not heavily raining at the start, a little bit of light rain. Great racing going on. I mean, we saw Felipe Nasr in the number 7 Porsche. He ended up driving from like P7 to the lead, getting by the 01 Cadillac, made some great moves with Delatraz, who was in the number 40 Acura, as well as the 31 Action Express Cadillac with Pipo Derani, making some moves around them. Did some great job. And then Delatraz up there in P2 ends up going through some lap traffic, ends up getting turned around there. Kind of set his race back. They never really truly recovered 100% from that. They did lead off strategy later in the race, but that really changed the strategy for them. And then it became the battle between the 7 Porsche and then the 01 Cadillac. Nasr ended up hydroplaning in the heavy rain. It came down real heavy there at a point in this race. We had a long, long safety car. But Nasr ends up hydroplaning into turn 1. Almost collects the 01 Cadillac. I mean, he went into that corner. That thing just absolutely floated off into turn 1. He did a great job not to make contact with the 01 Cadillac to not only hamper his own race, but hamper the 01 Cadillac's race, get a penalty, damage both those race cars. I mean, what a great job that it was. He just completely let it just full send into turn 1 and didn't even really try to lock up or anything, which was probably in hindsight, which He's probably thinking at the time, this is probably my best bet here. Safe landing. He did a great job there. Unfortunate though, the number 12 Vassy Sullivan team, they ended up wrecking on the front straightaway. I think they hydroplaned as well. They didn't really get good footage of it on the broadcast, but that was super unfortunate. That was my pick coming into the weekend. They ended up crashing. That caused another pretty long full course yellow. And then Grosjean in the Lamborghini. That was my dark horse pick. I said the Lambo was going to win a race before the end of the year, and IMSA, this was one of their last two chances to do it. And they end up battling for the lead with Jomine in the number 6, your Porsche Penske. They end up making contact for the lead, which is pretty impressive. Grosjean didn't get a penalty for it, which I don't think it was warranted anyway. I think it was just a racing contact. Um, but yeah, it was cool to see Lamborghini lead some laps in this race. It did fall apart for him though because they ended up getting into the number 55 Porsche, or excuse me, number 55 GT3 Ford Multimatic team, the Proton car. Ended up getting some right rear toe link broken, and that put them pretty much behind the 8 ball in this race. Also, Bourdais had a tire go down in hour 5, really ended their race for them, went multiple laps down. Also, the number 54 or the BMWs end up taking the lead with about 40 something minutes to go in the race, and they did an amazing job at the end of this race. They navigated lap traffic perfectly with the wet weather conditions, the amount of lap traffic they're having to go through, and the pressure from behind with the number 6 Porsche trying to challenge them. I mean, what a fantastic job. They didn't get into each other, the 2 BMWs. They raced fair, clean against and hard against each other. Didn't have any little inter team drama there. We did have some drama with Connor Zilic running P2 in the LMP2 race. Made contact with Paul DeResta. Ended up getting a big time penalty. They were running P2, about 7 seconds behind at the time. Looked like they might have an opportunity to run down your eventual race winner, the number 11 TDS machine. But that penalty set them back, and it was just an awful weekend for Zilic. I mean, the ARCA race gets taken out again in the truck race, loses laps, couldn't recover, and then obviously creating this contact with DeResta and having the penalty that he did. Just an off week here for Connor Zilic, unfortunate. But yeah, congratulations to BMW. Not only having to hold off the 6 Porsche, but or the 6 Porsche at the end of the race, having to do it with lower fuel load, having to save power, or running to the end of their power life on their hybrid or their battery or hybrid powered battery. I mean, it was just insane, man. Like the drive that they put on, was able to hang on and hold off their teammate. Connor DeFelipe was behind the wheel of the 25 at the end. Ang was behind the wheel of the 24. Uh, Being able to hold off DeFelipe. I mean, we have not seen this Connor DeFelipe in a year. I mean, this entire year has been terrible. Like the joke that Tom says, I guess the running joke around the channel. Did somebody kill his dog? Did his dog die? Did his dog get ran over? Like, where has Connor DeFelipe been this year? He's just been an absolute menace on the track, whether he's wrecking race cars, wrecking himself, uh, not finishing races, can't doesn't have the pace. It's just been an awful year for BMW, and they get a 1-2 finish in this race. Great job by them. Your winners, the GTP, obviously the BMW with Ang Krone. They end up winning a GTP. The number 11 TDS machine, like I mentioned, wins LMP2 with Jensen, McElray, and Thomas. The number 77 Rexy Porsche ends up winning in GTD Pro with Heinrich and Christensen. And then in GTD, we had the number 120 Wright Porsche with Halen, Shakir, and Adelson end up winning in GTD. What an awesome race with the different strategies we saw, the wet weather, the heavy rains at points, the comers and goers throughout the day. What an absolutely amazing sports car race. If you guys didn't see this race and you guys have a chance to over the week, go back and watch some parts of this race, even like the middle sections with the heavy rain around hour 2 and hour about 3. That was just an amazing stint in that race. Great job by Lamborghini. I'm really impressed by the pace that they had. Can they back it up at Petit Le Mans in the 10-hour race? I would love to see it because I predicted them as my bold prediction to win a race this year, and they had a really good pace. Unfortunate issues there with the contact they had with the 55 Ford ended that day for them, but great job by BMW and Ray Hall. I mean, after everything that's been going on with the FBI raids, their facility, it's kind of interesting to see that they win this race. What a weird storyline that is. So, great weekend of racing there in the IMSA series. Great weekend of racing for the Trucks and Xfinity as well. I enjoyed those. Creed with another P2 finish. I didn't even mention that. I just kind of try to stay away from that. It kind of hurts my soul to talk about it. But great racing this weekend for IMSA at the Indianapolis. I would love to go to this race next year. This is a race on my bucket list. I wanted to go this year. Unfortunately, couldn't make it happen, but maybe next year. Probably good I didn't go because of the rain. I don't know how much I would have enjoyed sitting out in the rain like that, but if you did go and toughed it out through the rain, I mean, congratulations to you. You guys saw an amazing race. I sure enjoyed that one. Alrighty. Let's talk about the driver standings in the IMSA challenge or the WeatherTech Challenge Series going into the final race, Petit Le Mans, the 10-hour race in October. The championship battle between the two Porsches. The number 7 Porsche. She's got a 14-point lead over the number 6 Porsche going into the final race. It's going to be an absolute nail biter thriller all the way down to the end. Just like last year, if you remember that battle between the Action Express team as well as the Wayne Taylor team with Albuquerque and Ricky Taylor. That was an amazing battle all the way down to the end. Made contact for the lead late in that race to end the championship for the Wayne Taylor team. I think we're going to see that again between inner team at Penske Porsche with the 6 and the 7. I'm super excited for it. And then I'm going to mention it. The number 3 position goes to the number 01 Cadillac with Bourdais and Van der Zande there. 164 points behind, which is pretty much mathematically out unless both of those other cars don't qualify good in wreck. I'm trying to do the math. I don't know if they're mathematically even eligible to win this championship. But we're going to find out when we get to Petit Le Mans. It's going to be a great battle. I'm super excited. This is probably going to be our watch party for the month of October. We're going to probably do 2. This will be one of them. Because last year we did it, and it was an absolute thriller of a race, and I would love to do it again. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel for that October watch party. Alrighty. Let's do it. Driver of the week, boneheads of the week. Driver of the week goes to Corey Day, P7 in the ARCA race. Low expectations, like I said. Kept his car clean. Was able to learn a lot with the lack of experience he has and finished P7 in a pretty good ARCA field. I'm not gonna lie, those top 15 were pretty competitive cars. Also, Fernando Alonso, P8 in F1, getting some points this weekend. Congratulations to him and that Aston Martin team. And then also Connor DeFelipe. I have to give him a shout out. He didn't win the race, finished P2, but I mean, he put together a great final stint there. Did not make really any mistakes there, like getting into his teammate, causing both of them to have an issue and losing that race. Was able to navigate lap traffic good and getting a result. That's the main thing, getting a result. He's needed one. I mean, maybe his dog didn't die after all. And then Boneheads of the Week, Logan Mizuraka. I'm going to nominate her for running out of talent, collecting Connor Zilisch in the ARC race. That's just absolutely terrible. What a way to lose the championship for Connor Zilisch with somebody that shouldn't even be out on the track anyway. Losing talent and collecting you. I'm also going to nominate Gavin Ernstone as well, like I mentioned in the Pilot Challenge race for TKO and Preston Brown. Went about 5 car lengths too deep into turn 1, ends up wiping out the number 76 Hyundai driven by Preston Brown. So I'll nominate him. And then obviously I got to give a good old shout out, one more good old time here to old Corey LaJoy for our final Bonehead of the Week nominee for absolutely running out of talent, wrecking Logano, wrecking himself in his final race with Spire with a top 10 car. Congratulations, Corey LaJoy. Let's give him a round of applause. What a fantastic band. What a great race car driver that guy is. Alrighty. Let's do it. Final segments of this podcast here tonight. We're going to do the race previews for the ARCA Trucks Xfinity Cup at Kansas. First off, though, notable entries in the Truck Series. Brendan Queen will be in the number 1 Tricon machine. Marco Andretti in the 04 Roper machine. Connor Mosack in the number 7 truck this weekend for Spire. Jennifer Jo Cobb is back in her own race truck in the number 10. Watch out for that. Insta caution. Frankie Muniz being the number 22 Rayon Brothers machine this weekend. Good to see that he's got another opportunity. Old Cooter Daly. Old Cooter. He'll be in the number 44 Nice machine this weekend. And then Corey Day. He's going to make another truck start with McAnally in number 91 this weekend. I'm super excited for that. Also, in the Xfinity Series, we got Daniel Dye in the number 10 Colleague machine. Eric Almirola in the number 19 JGR with Taylor Gray in the number 20 JGR. Corey Heim in the number 26 Sam Hunt Racing Machine. And then Connor Zilisch making another start in the Xfinity Series and the number 88 Junior Motorsports Racing Machine. And then in the Cup Series, we got Kaz Gralla in the number 15 Recaro Racing ride this weekend. Ty Dillon in the 16 Colleague Machine. JJ Yaley in the number 44 NY Racing. And then old Jimmy Johnson in the number 84 Legacy Motor Club Racing Machine. Maybe another Insta caution there as well. Alrighty. On Friday, the ARCA Series. The race is 150 from Kansas. Oh, man. No entry list is official yet, but I'm just going to assume Connor Zilisch will be driving in this race. So I'm going to pick him to win this race. And I think it's not even going to be close. Get some redemption after what happened to him at Bristol. I think he's going to dominate this race, and it's going to be fun to watch and maybe get a little bit of that mojo back after the rough weekend he had. Oh boy. And my dark horse, I don't even know if he's on the entry list or not, but I always pull for him as my dark horse. That's Andy Jankovic. Andy Jesus. I think he's going to be a great dark horse this weekend. Showed some pace there at Bristol. He was a top 10 at one point in that race. Kind of got away from him at the end there. But I think the Andy Jankovic, Andy Jesus, I think he's going to have a great run this weekend at Kansas. I think we ran earlier at Michigan. I think he was up in towards the top 5 in that race. So I think they definitely have something or a piece this weekend there at Kansas. All right. For the truck series, the Kubota Tractors 200, the cut race of the playoffs. Can Ben Rhodes get in? Does um Daniel Dye recover? Is it at Bristol? Do we see maybe another surprise winner? Does Lane Riggs go triple threat? Go back to back to back? We'll find out. But with that being said, my pick is going to be Christian Eckes. I think this is just an easy pick. I think honestly, if I was to pick a champion today, I think I would take Christian Eckes. He's just been so quick this year, and I think that he's gonna again with that McAnally truck. I think he's gonna be the guy to beat. I think he's gonna be the guy to beat. I think Corey Haim's gonna be up there, obviously. Majeski salvaging their day at Bristol. I think that was what they needed. I think they're still gonna be pretty quick. I think Raja's gonna be pretty quick here as well. This is a track that Raja nearly won last year, so I think Raja's gonna be quick. Uh, my unknowns, right, like I said, Ben Rhodes. I don't know. Daniel Dye, can he recover? Grant Enfinger, do they have the pace? I think Enfinger might get eliminated. I really don't know what to say about Enfinger. I mean, that Bristol race, he was in a terrible spot until Daniel Dye had his issues, and he was able to salvage something out of that to stay close enough in the cut line. So we'll see what Enfinger can do. But I think Christian Eckes is going to dominate this race. I think he's going to be the fastest truck by far, and I think it's going to be fun to watch. My dark horse is, and like I said with the ARCA race and the truck race last weekend, this guy just has so little experience in stock cars. I mean, he's just learning every time he gets behind the wheel of one. That's Corey Day. I think Corey Day is gonna be the next one of the next great talents in motorsports. I mean, he already is with what his accomplishments that he's done in sprint cars and midgets and everything that I've seen him compete in. He's just done a fantastic job, and I think he did at Bristol. It is a tough place to make your first starts really in a stock car, especially in the competition that you're racing against. So, I think he did a great job there. I think he's in a McAnally truck. I think the McAnally truck's gonna be quick again this weekend. I think he's gonna do a great job. I think he's gonna be right up there at in the top 15 by the end of this race, and prove exactly why he's considered to be one of the next best things coming up. So I'll take Corey Day as my dark horse this weekend. And then Saturday, the Xfinity Series, the Kansas Lottery 300, the first race of the playoffs for the Xfinity Series. It should be a great race. Um, I don't know. I went back and forth on my pick for this weekend. I think Almirola is going to be extremely quick in that number 19 GGR machine. I think those Toyotas are going to be really fast this weekend. That's kind of where I'm thinking this race is going to go into the Toyota's hands. But this man had an absolute rough go of it at Bristol. Had the regular season championship by the gonads, man. He had it won, had all those mistakes. I think he's going to have a bounce back race, and I think it's not only going to be a bounce back race. I think he's going to prove why he was basically a regular season champion until it fell apart at the end. I think he's going to win a couple stages. I think he's going to get off to a great start to his playoffs. I think it's going to be Justin Allgaier. I think Justin Allgaier wins this race. He's going to really put the fight to the Toyotas this weekend. I still think Creed's going to finish P2 for the 850,000th time. And then Connor Silich is going to be my dark horse just because he's amazingly fast. He's going to have experience from the ARCA race on Friday. I think he's going to take that over and translate it to the Saturday Xfinity Series race. Allgaier's going to be quick. It's his teammate. I think he's going to learn a lot from him. He's got the pace. I mean, he's so fast in anything he jumps into. I think he's going to qualify well. And I think Connor Zilich is going to be a threat at the end of this race. So that's my dark horse. And then the Cup Series on Sunday, the Hollywood Casino 400. Man, did I debate this for a while. It's like, oh, man, Kyle Larson. He's been fast at Kansas in the past. I mean, he's pretty much unstoppable right now. But he's hung money for a reason. Does Hung Money make a mistake? I think so. I don't think Hung Money goes back-to-back at Kansas this year. Then I was like, wait, what about Hamlin? Well, I don't know what to think about Hamlin. I don't. I mean, he had an abysmal first round of the playoffs. I mean, out of nowhere. This round, I feel like is going to play a lot harder to him. I think he's going to put so much pressure on himself to win this first race. He might make a mistake like speeding or something. Considering you have Talladega and the Roval in this round, I just don't know if that is going to be a good pick. I was thinking Bell. Bell was my championship pick, and it's hard not to pick him to win this race. I picked him last weekend. I think he finished P4. Really had the pace, but just not enough to keep up with Larson, obviously. And then with the tires and no tire fall off, really hampered his day. So then I was like, who else could win this race? And I was narrowed in on one guy and one guy in particular. And that man is the guy that makes the championship for every even numbered year. He won the first race in the first round. I think he does it again. I think he wins the first race in the second round. Joey Logano is going to advance to round 8 this weekend. He's going to win the race at Kansas. That 22 team is just scary. I mean, I'd be scared of that 22 team, honestly. I mean, if I was competing against them, it just seems like they show up when they need to in the clutch. And Logano is that guy. And I think he's going to get the job done this weekend. And I think he might be the fastest Ford this weekend by a long shot. I mean, we saw the speed by Buscher here in the spring. He almost basically won the race. I think he won the race, but whatever. That's up to you guys to debate. Keselowski, I don't know what to think about Keselowski. His playoffs are done. It kind of folded over the last 2 races. I don't know. So I think Logano is going to be the guy to beat this weekend for sure. And then my dark horse, I'm going to go with little Lyle Gregson. I don't know why. I have a feeling. This is the track where he had that infamous bowl cut bouncing in the air when he got punched by Chastain. I don't know. Something about Kansas, where's Toto and Gregson, Lyle, and all that kind of just accumulates into. I'm gonna pick him as my dark horse this weekend. It should be interesting racing for sure at Kansas. All right, and then the last little bit here. Let's talk about the NASCAR Fantasy Live picks. My 5-driver lineup. I'm gonna go Larson. He's gonna be fast all day, get a lot of stage points. I'm gonna go Logano because I think he wins the race. He's also gonna score a lot of stage points. Bell, same thing as Larson. He's gonna score a lot of stage points right up front. I'm gonna go Denny Hamlin because I think, like I said, Bell, Hamlin, Larson were my 3 picks before I went with Logano. I'm gonna put all 3 of them on my fantasy lineup, and then I'm gonna put Bubba Wallace. Just purely because this track is his track. He's won here in the past. 23-11's quick. I think him and Reddick are both gonna be up at the front of the field. Bubba Wallace just seems like since he got eliminated from, I mean, even before he got eliminated from the playoffs, he's really turning up at the end of the year. I think he's gonna have a good run this weekend at Kansas. I really do. And then for matchups, we got Larson and Hamlin. I'm gonna take Larson over Hamlin, and it's purely because I'm speculating, maybe purely speculating. I think Hamlin makes a mistake. I think he has a speeding penalty or something late in this race, and that really puts him back in track position. I think at the end of the race, Larson will be ahead of him. That's really the only reason. And then Bell and Byron. I'm going to go Bell, and I think Byron is completely fallen off a cliff. I mean, he looked like the championship favorite for the first 2.5, 3 months of the season. He has been non-existent since, and I don't know how they're going to get out of this funk or this groove that they're in right now. And Bell is really turning up, and he is my championship pick, is Christopher Bell, so I think Christopher Bell is going to definitely outperform Byron this weekend. Next one is Reddick and Elliott. And a lot, like I said, with Bubba Wallace, I think those 2311 cars, the Toyotas, are going to be really fast this weekend. I think Reddick's going to be in the top 10 in both stages easily. I think he'll be in the top 5 maybe in both stages easily. He'll be in contention at the end of this race. 100% he'll be in contention at the end of this race. He'll probably be top 5 by the end of this race. And I think Elliott's going to be towards that top 10. So I'm going to go with Reddick over Elliott this weekend. And then my last one, Logano and Blaney. This is a good matchup, but if I'm going to have to split hairs here, I think Blaney's also going to be up the front of the field, but I think Logano's going to win this race. I really, really am confident Logano's going to win this race. So I'm going to take Logano over Blaney for that factor alone. Alrighty. That'll wrap up the podcast here for tonight. That's everything I had to talk about. Great racing, all but the Cup Series race and the ARCA race this weekend. And really, the F1 race really wasn't super thrilling either. But this weekend, Kansas. Playoffs are in full swing. The cut race for the trucks, and then the opening round for the Xfinity Series, and then the second round opener for the Cup Series. It's gonna be interesting, as well as ARCA. They've only got 2 races left this season. This is the second to last race, so we'll see if Andres Perez can sail out this championship over his teammate LeVar Scott. So some interesting storylines going into this weekend. I'm excited to watch these races at Kansas. If it's anything like the spring Kansas races, it should be a good weekend of racing. And so I'm super optimistic to see how everything plays out. Also, Thursday, make sure you guys tune in. We're going to be doing our part 2 to the F1 2024 co-op career mode with me and Tom. I'll be streaming on Kick. Tom will be streaming his perspective here on YouTube. and it's going to be an absolute blast. I cannot wait to bring that content with you. We had an absolute shenanigans chaos first round there at Bahrain. Me and Ricardo didn't see eye to eye there, and I end up maybe losing a little bit of my cool on him a little bit there, and I kind of put him in the wall, and then proceeded to absolutely tank my race after that. Tom did way better than me, got up to the front by the beginning of the race, and then he ended up having some issues with Perez, and then had some issues there late in the race as well. We did not get the results we think we probably should have got there, which was super unfortunate. But we're moving into Australia, which is a track that I'm pretty confident in. I know Tom's probably feeling pretty confident in. One of my favorite tracks on the F1 calendar. I love that track. I feel like I'm pretty quick around there. So it should be pretty fun. We'll see if we can bounce back. Maybe we could score our first points of the season in our co-op career mode. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday to come check out that career mode action here on this YouTube channel as well as on Kick. Make sure you guys go follow us on all our socials. We're on X, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Make sure you go follow us there. Show your support. If you guys want to support us even more, you guys can go follow us on Patreon. All those proceeds go back to help us produce more content for you guys here on YouTube with the busy schedule we have. As well as follow us on Kick. We're streaming on there as well. Different kind of type of stuff. Like I said, we got the podcast is right there live on Kick right now, as well as we'll be streaming the F1 stuff. We did the watch party on there. Pretty much everything we stream on YouTube is also being streamed on Kick. So make sure you go give us some support there as well. Also, go check out our merch store. Go buy you some Digga Boys swag. Go get you some Big Daddy NASCAR, Big Daddy IMSA merchandise. We got shorts, shorts, pants, shirts, hats, sweaters, hoodies, coffee mugs, bumper stickers, whatever you want. I mean, we basically have it all in our store. Go buy you some Digga Boys swag. Again, all of those proceeds go back to help us continue to make content for you guys here on YouTube and Kick. We appreciate you guys so much for all your support and voting on that watch party poll. I hope you guys enjoyed that and came and tuned in with us on Saturday and watched the Snooze Fest night race at Bristol, which was very, very, very disappointing. So we appreciate you guys so much. And we'll have some more things coming out soon. We'll get that watch party for the month of September up here on next Tuesday's podcast, or for October on next Tuesday's podcast for you guys to vote on. So I can't wait for you guys to put your input and do another watch party with you guys. It should be fun. I believe we'll do 2 minimum because I do want to do the championship race for IMSA as well. And then obviously in November, we'll be doing the F1 championship race as well as the NASCAR Cup Series finale, maybe even a doubleheader with the Xfinity finale, maybe even a triple header with the trucks. I don't know. We'll have to talk about it, but we'll have lots of great watch parties and entertaining stuff coming up on this channel. So make sure you guys subscribe and turn on your notifications to get every up-to-date analysis of everything happening on the Digga Bush channel. Also, go follow us on our Discord. That link is in the description. We post all types of news, rumors, drama, memes, anything and everything happening in the motorsports world gets posted on there on a daily. If you guys want to stay up to date with everything happening in the world of motorsports. Continuing to build the greatest motorsports community on the internet. We appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys to death, and hopefully you guys have a good rest of your evening, and we'll catch you all on Thursday. Make sure to tune in and have a good evening.